You're now listening to Start of Play Football, episode 14 with myself, Theo, Kojo, man. How you doing?
I'm alive. That's what I can say for now. What are you saying?
Boy, it's cold, man. That's the first thing. It's cold up in the north, man. It is cold. But yeah, man, I can't. Do you know what? I was gonna try and be humble and go, oh yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. Nah, I'm shit. I'm pissed off, man. I'm still pissed off with the game yesterday, man. But yeah, man. We're going to get into all of that. Before we do, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you go to the social account. Make sure you follow on there. Make sure you listen back to all the previous episodes. And also make sure you like this video before you leave. If you can do anything, we appreciate that as well, as always. But yeah, man, let's go back to tomorrow, first of all. Yesterday. So I see how Liverpool scrambled my brain, man. Let's go back to yesterday. 4-1 defeat, Chelsea. Yeah. Brilliant from Liverpool, man. I hear your thoughts first, man. What did you think of the game, man? Give me your assessment.
I think you gave the game to them, if I'm being honest. And the reason I say that, there are 2 minute points that I'll get back to that I think could have changed the game. But I think you gave the game to them firstly with the odd selection. I'm thinking if Nkunku's fit and ready to go, raring to go, I think you got to start him. I think in those situations, you got to try and give the player 60 minutes so that you try and hold them for the last 30. So I think you give them too much respect in that regard. I think Liverpool definitely deserved the win. Of course, when I say give it to them, it's not that they didn't earn it. What I mean is, I think you could have done a bit more to at least challenge them a bit better. But they were better than you from start to finish. The 2 points that I think Chelsea fans should feel aggrieved by is that, in my opinion, you were denied 2 Stonewall penalties. Both fouls by Van Dijk, one on Gallagher and the other one was on Nkunku as well, wasn't it? I think. Yeah. So, you have that there, but it's for you guys, it's worrying because you start to find. I want to call it form, but you're finding results. You're getting some results here and there. You're picking it up. You can't go into this game knowing that you're going to play them in a couple of weeks in a cup final and perform like that. That's not a confidence booster in the slightest. Not even close. Cup finals are 50-50. You're playing a neutral venue, so this game will mean nothing come kickoff for that game. But looking at how your team has been playing in recent weeks, I think at least even getting a draw at Anfield would have been a massive confidence boost ahead of that game. Massive. So yeah, that's really what I'm thinking. However, I will also say this. You guys will not go anywhere with Disasi and Badiashile as your future defenders. I haven't even mentioned Chilwell, and the reason I haven't mentioned Chilwell is because, quite frankly, at this point, there's not much to say about him. But those two in particular, I know they're new, and there's supposed to be an adaptation period, but I think we have all watched football enough to know when you can just tell that our player is just not good. And they're just not good. Badiashile in particular angered me for Diaz's goal. Fuming with him. Because you're playing a guy offside, you're onside, which means that you're not even in line with your actual defense. There's no cohesion there. And the ball's being crossed. And this is why I talk about players like Wan-Bissaka as well, who people talk about the best one-on-one defender in the league. That's acute. But when the ball's coming into your box and you have no awareness, the ball's coming to you at strict speed, and he's not even. It's like he's not even aware of anything around him. And then suddenly he turns to his right and Diaz is there. That's when he panics and tries to make a challenge. It's piss. It's absolute nonsense. So players like that, you're not going to go far with them. Whoever signed off that deal, sack him. And if it was Pochettino, sack him. Because that's poor. That's poor.
It's a good assessment, man. I can't lie. It's a good. Do you know what? When I remember I messaged you before the game and said it's very, very risky going to Anfield and playing that team that Pochettino put out yesterday, because it's one of them that, yeah, if it goes well and it works in your favour and you get the result and everything else like gels and does well, then brilliant. Like, Pochettino looks amazing. Looks like he's done a tactical genius movement and it's worked. But when it doesn't work and you put Palmer as the false nine, you've got Disasi playing as a right back. You've got Chilwell, who's coming back from a long injury, coming back into a game, who should have been able to deal with Conor Bradley. I'm going to get onto him in a minute because he was really, really good. But when you've got someone like Badiashile as well, who doesn't look comfortable as a centre back. And to shift him then to left back at half time bamboozled the fuck out of me. I'm sorry, because what are you thinking? So the only thing I can think is maybe Ben Chilwell's picked up a knock or an injury. That's the only thing I can think of. But even then, you bring on Malo Gusto, play him right back, which is fine.
Yeah.
He's a right back. But he has played left back for us. Yeah. Me personally, I'm shifting Gusto to left back. Now, I either bring on Gilchrist and put him as right back, or I shift someone else to right back. That's it. That's what you do, because Badiashile cannot play centre back, let alone left back.
Fact.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Fact.
I've got so much to say on this, but I'm going to try and...
No, let it go, man.
I'm going to
try and... This is what we do here. It's therapy, man. It's therapy. Let it go.
I'm going to try and compose myself properly, because last night I was that angry. I stayed up for like another 2 hours, just literally staring at the blank TV. Nothing was on the TV. I was just literally staring at it, like in disbelief. But this is a massive issue. I was on a podcast 2 years ago. This is 2 years in the running now. Yeah, James Helder, shout out James Helder. And I said then, the new owners had just come in. I said, this is going to go one of two ways. This is going to be where we literally fuck up the whole thing that we've been doing for 20 years, and we go and try and just buy everyone and make sure that we've got the best youngsters and and all of this stuff. We go and get Graham Potter and hope he's going to be the next manager to take us through. And I think that's not going to work. And I remember people saying to me at the time, oh, we've got to give it time. We've got to do this. We've got to be patient, blah, blah, blah. We're 2 years into a project, yeah. I still don't know the standout players at Chelsea. I don't know one of them. I can't name you one player that is stand out. And I mean, when he doesn't play, you miss him. You can't even say Reece James because he misses half the games, half the season, so you can't even put him in that conversation.
Would it be Cole Palmer? Just asking. Would it be Cole Palmer?
No. He's a good player. But some people that like know me through WhatsApp, they'll go, "Oh, you're going back on your word." No, Cole Palmer is playing very, very well this season. He's having a really, really good season. But we've only had him for half a season. We can't even say that he's a standout player. Do you know what I mean? Like we can't say that. We've had him back-to-back seasons, and he's the one that has carried the team on his shoulders because he's just having a good season. But there's no one. Like before, when you take Lampard out of the team, you miss Lampard. You haven't got Drogba, you miss him. When you haven't got Hazard, you miss him. When you haven't got John Terry, we were poor defensively. Do you know what I mean? We haven't got none of that in this squad. None of that. And the owners are going to have to take a lot of blame for this, because the owners are the ones that are in this now. We've got another, Chelsea fans, we've got another 8 years of these owners. They can't sell this club for another 8 years. Like, that's facts. They can't move on. That was part of the deal when they took over. They have to be at this club for 10 years. They're 2 years into the project and it's still shambolic. So
can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question about that thing? I think obviously, and I know, I guess Abramovich had Chelsea's best interest when he was trying to sell the club, because he genuinely actually loved and adores the club. So I don't question his motives when selling, because he had to sell. He had no choice. He was forced to sell as well. But when dealing with Bowley, do you think there was maybe how the regime is now, and it's so left field of what Chelsea done? Because I remember having a conversation with one of my boys, and he was saying, I remember when Abramovich came in after they brought in Crespo, this guy, that guy, and then after when Mourinho came in, it was Ferreira. I was like, but that sounds like there was a plan behind it, because that
100%.
first year, you guys went to semi-finals of Champions League, and then Mourinho came in and you brought in players that he knew and then players that he actually wanted, and you won the league title at Cantor, by the way. You were gone. So, like, it's not the same. But do you think there was maybe like they sold the idea of what they wanted to do to Abramovich and they just delivered it absolutely poorly? Or
I don't think he had a say. I think his hands were tied when he was forced to sell the club. I really do. I don't think he even had a say in who was buying it. I think the proposals came to whoever who was in charge of the sale of the club. They were the ones that had to. I think all Clear Lake and Todd Bowley had to basically do was assure that they were going to meet the requirements that were put in place during the sale, proof of funds, which they could do. And that was it. So that it could have been any three. Like Jim Ratcliffe was one of the people that was clearly interested as well. And I think personally, I don't think it mattered to them who took over. They just wanted the club sold. Bearing in mind, they've still got the money as well. The government, they haven't passed the money on to the Ukrainians yet. By the way, just so put through that.
Yeah.
They're still in there. But no, I think it's going to be troubling times for Chelsea, because I think you look at how we are now. We like, even today we're looking to sell Armando Broja or loan him out to Wolves or Fulham with a 5 million loan fee on deadline day. We don't have. I mean, he was on the bench yesterday. Washington was on the bench yesterday. These are players that you could put in before Cole Palmer plays false nine. Gusto was on the bench. Like, you could have started with Gusto, because when he came on, he was. I'm not saying he changed the game, but he was effective. Do you know what I mean?
He was. Yeah, I agree.
Those of Nkunku, if he's on the bench, start his Ras Club, put him in the team, man, because we need goals. And when he come on, he scored the goal.
Yeah, he did.
I want to talk about Liverpool. I don't want to just be like a Chelsea moanfest, but we have to credit Liverpool. Before we do that, sorry, the penalties, I agree with you that they were penalties, but I can't even hang my hat on that and say that even with those 2 penalties, we would have gone on to win the game. Does it change the dynamic of the game? Yes. Because if we get that first one, the Conor Gallagher one, then yeah, it could change the dynamic of how Liverpool approach the game. But it doesn't, to me, 2 things can be right here. The referee was poor, but we were just as bad as the ref.
Yeah, no, you guys were bad. I just posed that there because I looked at the penalty. Obviously, they missed their penalty, but the penalty they got was pretty much similar to what you didn't get. So for me, it was like, okay, I know Chelsea are bad. I know there's a chance that they're going to win this game anyway, but that's to me, at that moment in time, it was a moot point, only because I'm saying there's no guarantee they're going to get a penalty or score the penalty, rather. No guarantee they're going to score the penalty, but these are penalties. You can't look at them and say they're not penalties. And if it's going to be a fair game, Chelsea can play bad, but we've seen teams go to Anfield, play bad, and somehow come away with a result. So if you guys, because in that first half, if I recall, I think you had no shots in the first half.
None.
So if you go and get a goal out of the blue, out of nowhere, Liverpool now have pressure on them to go and break you down. Maybe it changes how you approach the game. You get a goal, all right, cool, let's sit off. Because it seemed like even tactically, it looked like you guys on the pitch anyway were very unsure about whether the attack, the structure was stay compact and counter attack, or at some point gain possession. Because it looked like you're going, and then you didn't go. And you get the ball, but then you lose it. And then you try and counter-attack, but then no one's following the counter-attack. It was just so confusing. So I don't know. That's why I'm just thinking, if this kind of thing changes games. But no, you're right. I can't disagree with the fact that regardless, it looked like you guys were in for a hammering regardless. So
we've got to be honest as well. Petrovic, I mean, that game could have finished 7-1, be honest. Petrovic was pulling off some really good saves in that. But
that boy's good.
He's very good. I think he's got a shout for keeping Sanchez between the sticks, because I think he's.
I told you about Sanchez, bro. Get that, keep him off.
I mean, look, I've never been I've never been a big fan of Sanchez anyway. I think when you're third, I said before, when you're third choice at Brighton, it tells me something already. So for him to come into the Chelsea squad and just automatically be given the first choice goalkeeper spot was always going to be a bit iffy for me. But Liverpool, man, I thought Liverpool, without Mo Salah, without Trent Alexander-Arnold in there, without Robertson in that team, looked very good. Looked very, very good, and I thought, I think last week I was talking about Conor Bradley, how good he is. And he showed up last night. He put in his brilliant goal. I think 2 assists as well from Conor Bradley. I thought Nunes had a brilliant game, albeit he'd done everything but score. And yeah, man, I thought Liverpool obviously they deserved the win, but are you surprised how well I mean, I don't think they played well as well, but are you surprised how easy it was for them to be able to just pick off Chelsea?
Surprised, no. I think I said to you that I need your players to not buy into they're gonna come and find their belly because Klopp is leaving kind of hype that's going on right now. Shout out Alex from DR Sports. He went on there and said that he doesn't want to be any other team that's going to go and play Liverpool now because there's going to be something different. But my thing is, regardless of what the announcement is, you're still a team. You can still be beaten. It's man versus man. But no, I wasn't surprised that they picked you off. And I will keep saying this. Chelsea's biggest problem throughout this whole season is that they don't take chances. Absolutely. But there's a problem in that back five. There is no first choice back five apart from Thiago Silva. That's as simple as it gets. He's the number one guy, but even then, he's 39. He should be taking it easy in his last couple of years. He should be in and out of the team, rested. The recruitment at the back, just for me, hasn't been good enough over the last 2-3 years. Chilwell has always been known to be good going forward. He's never been good defensively. We saw that at Leicester as well. This isn't anything new. Malo Gusto is very young. It's a very much unknown entity. We saw him, youngster coming through in France, good talent. But when you come to the Premier League, it's a different beast. It's a different type of level. Are you going to be able to adapt as quickly as they need you to, especially knowing that the number one right back, Reece James, is just, you just don't know whenever he's ever going to be fit. And when he's fit, you don't know if he's going to stay fit. And then the centre backs, I know I went on a tirade about them earlier, but the reason I make that point is because it's like, and it is their fault, but it's also not their fault. Defenders are not defenders anymore. So when you have a defender that actually looks like he likes defending, we buy into the hype that they are, they're up here and they are, the top quality. But they appreciate what they're supposed to be doing, their job. These guys are not good at their job. That's just that's not going to call a spade a spade. They're not good at their job. They're just not good at their job, and that's where Nunez was finding joy. Jota's goal for me was pathetic. He shouldn't be barging past Thiago Silva, and I was just even barging, just walking through them.
Man. It was like butter through a knife through butter, man. It was easy.
Literally, just walks through them, and then Badiashile is not even like, for someone that looks like he's got such a physical presence, did nothing to even unbalance him.
Soft as a leaf.
So soft, my God. It was just easy. It's far too easy, and they'll find so much joy down your sides as well, but particularly on the right side. Luis Diaz didn't have so much joy on the left, but notice when he scored his goal, where did he come from? The right side. There's a problem there. Or your left side, rather, Liverpool's right. There's a problem on Chelsea's left side. And Gusto, I've got time for him. I think he's okay. So I think he'll be fine. But just the centre-backs and the left-back and the lack of protection in front, because I don't know what Caicedo's actual job is. There's just so many problems there. Maybe Lavia is going to be the solution. But again,
don't say that.
We don't know.
Nah, don't say
that.
I'm
saying we don't know because again, he's played in the Premier League, he's played in England, but he played for Southampton. He is young, he can improve. But for what Chelsea's aim is, and the pressure levels are very different. At Chelsea, regardless of who the owner is, it's still sink or swim. You still got to get out. Some of these guys can be gone next year,
It's
just like that. Regardless of years of contract or whatever wage they got. It was easy. If a club was to get rid of you, Chelsea can commit to paying your wages for the next 7 years whilst you go and play somewhere else. They can do it. They can absolutely do it. And they'll be fine to do it. So, whatever changes you need to make, you got to find them quickly, because at this rate, you might have another season where you finish bottom 10.
But that's the thing. That's the thing. Like, I was looking this morning, like, we've spent more money over the last 12 months. We were 10th this time last year. We're still 10th. We haven't improved. Like, we've scored more goals. I think we scored 50 goals in 51 games last year. Right. We've scored more. We scored 50 goals already this season. But my point is, like, we're still poor. We're still bad. Like I said, 2 years into a project, I don't know the best 11. I don't know our style of football. I don't know tactically how we're approaching games. I don't know what the manager's trying to do with this team. I don't know individuals what their best qualities are. I don't. And that's 2 years into it. Like, we talk about Enzo, not us, but people talk about Enzo. We shouldn't be playing Enzo here. Well, Enzo's been here for near enough 2 years now, I think, or 18 months.
Yeah.
So I'm sure we got him last. Didn't we not get him last January? Was it January before?
Oh, yeah, so it's been a year now.
It's been a year, sorry. It's been a year. So it's coming to his year. So all of these things that are coming up now, he's been here for 12 months and we still don't know if Enzo is the player that we brought him for. Do you know what I mean?
Can I make a suggestion here? Because I'm a bit old school in the sense that I still think it's unfair, and Chelsea fans may not like this. I don't know how they feel about it. I think it's still unfair to judge Pep on this squad and Pep Poch on this squad.
I wish it was Pep, man. Bloody listen.
The reason I say that is because I'm very much of the culture of, if you give a manager his players and it fails, that's because you gave him every chance to succeed. He's coming to a squad that is still very unbalanced, and I cannot. I mean, I don't know for you. Maybe you know more. You definitely know more about the Chelsea's dealings than I do. But if these guys are not necessarily his signings, you're asking him to work with players that just don't make sense. I said to you earlier in the season that he works best with young players, and the caveat for that is these are the young players that he looked at. Alderweireld when he was younger, magic with him. Dele Alli, he signed him. Magic with, you know what I mean? Harry Kane made sure that he became a first team player. Magic with him. And dare I say, I think personally that Cole Palmer was a player that he liked. And you can see Cole Palmer has taken a step up, and you can see his quality is shining through, and he's going to get better. But some of these other guys, I know some of them were there before him. Regardless, I look at them like, these guys, these are not Pochettino signings. They can't be. The Pochettino I know, I'm not talking about going and not winning titles and all that joke stuff they do about him. Young players is his forte. But these are young players that he looks for, not just given to him. And some of these guys look like they're not going to make it far, in my humble opinion. So, I don't know. I think it's unfair, but this is the pressure of football, isn't it? Because if it doesn't go well this year, he's going to get fired. So, I don't know. Tactically, yes, it's a mess, but some of these guys, man, they're not of a level that you need. I'm just being honest.
I agree with that. I agree to an extent. I think he should still do better, Pochettino, because like I said, some of the things, the choices he's making are for me, aren't right. When you've got Malo Gusto, you got Nkunku on the bench, you got to play them. You got Broja on the bench. Whether he's going to today in transfer deadline or not, regardless of that, you've got him on the bench for a reason. Use him in that game. Like if we won that game last night, I think potentially we could have gone 7th in the league or something like that, going into that game at the weekend against Wolves. And if we win that game, a whole different atmosphere around the ground, around the team, around the fans. Do you know what I mean? Like you can't just not get a penalty in the first 10 minutes of the game and put your head down and put your tail between your legs. Like that's stupid. Like what's going on? Like, even if we scored the penalty, we still have to probably score another 2 or 3 goals because it's Liverpool at Anfield. Like, we can't just get the one penalty and think, oh, if we get that, we're going to win the game. Nah, man. So, and Pochettino's got to do better. Like, even off-field stuff, before we move on, final word, like, he's got to do better in his press conferences because, like, even last night, he was like, oh, it's just one game. We've got to move on from it now. No. We're playing them soon. And what, you're going to say the same thing when we get beaten by... I'm sure we got Wolves. I'm sure it's Wolves at the weekend. If they beat us at the weekend, you're going to say the same thing. Oh, the boys played well, but we've got to move on now. We've got a cup final to look forward to. No, man. You got to hold himself accountable because you're the one that picking the team and coaching these players. And if they're not his players, then that's fair enough. But at the same time as well, you got to adapt as a manager. I mean, sometimes you might get a blunt knife out the kitchen drawer. You got to use that sometimes, you know what I'm saying? Like, you just got to make the best of it. It's got to be done, man. So, moving on from Chelsea, man. I can't even... Let's move on from them quickly. Let's move on. But let's talk about the shock of the week for me. The shock of the week for me was Luton. Maybe not a shock, actually, but Luton beating Brighton 4-0, Kenilworth Road. Good result for Luton. De Zerbi's on a bad run. I mean, not De Zerbi himself, but Brighton is on a bad run of games. Where do you think it's gone wrong for Brighton? Because obviously they were talking about De Zerbi as the next big manager to come through and all the rest of it. And there's still time for him to do that. But do you feel that the attention of De Zerbi potentially even being linked with Barcelona, I think, this week, and even Liverpool, do you reckon that's kind of taking a bit of gloss off Brighton this season?
No, I just think they've been found out, personally. I think they've been found out. I've always been a bit sketchy about it, De Zerbi, because I will forever bang the drum. I think I said it in one of the earlier pods that I've just never been a fan of him. I'm not a fan of managers that, I'll keep saying this, Pep cosplay. I don't like it. I don't like Pep cosplay. Brighton have a wonderful system where they have recruited a certain type of manager because they build a certain type of squad. So you can play a certain group of players, and you can put a group of certain players together which play passing style, cohesive style. They get acquainted to quite easily. And if he's gone, they'll find another manager who plays a similar brand and keep the stock moving. Similar to what Southampton used to do back in the day before they went left and brought in Mark Hughes. They had he was with Nigel Atkins, and then after Nigel Atkins left, it was Pochettino. Like they had something that was working. So even if they had players like Lambert would go, but you bring in Graziano Pella, and the thing will just keep moving. The train just keeps going because exactly. It just fits the model. It's perfect. But for me, I feel like if you go and give him a different type of squad, he doesn't know how to use them. He doesn't know how to adapt. I have that similar problem with my manager. I feel like with the squad he's got, the players don't play even near close to similar brand of football that Ajax used to play, because he ain't got the quality of players or the style of players, the style of play that he wants for these players. So when you've got brand coming in, it's different. Now, what I'm saying is being found out is because Brighton are a plan A, no plan B team. And Luton have found a system immediately in that game where they've gone and said, we know how to beat this team. The goal that Adebayo scored, where he had a one-on-one from the halfway line, what are we doing here? With all due respect, that's Bundesliga defending. With all due respect, that's Bundesliga defending. You got a one-on-one from there. From there, you're gone already. And then even the goalkeeper himself, questionable, rushes out, doesn't really know what he's doing, easy tapping, and from there it was just plain sailing. Brighton got humbled because there's been a hiding coming their way for a while. Brighton are very good at playing good football, and even when the feet looking a bit pretty, you say, no, they played all right, and on another day, no. Today was the day, or yesterday was the day that you realized, maybe not so much. Maybe they're not the guys that you think they are. And I'm not trying to go on a tirade and say I told you so. I didn't, because I'm a fan of Brighton as well. I like watching Brighton play football. It's quite entertaining. But they're just not as good as I believe people think they are. That's just my opinion. And Luton deserve all the praise. They've started to find their footing in the Premier League. They're starting to get good results. They've won 3 out of their last 5 now. It's looking good for them. They're starting to get confidence. They're starting to build. They create chances as well. They actually do create chances. They started their philosophy. They're in danger of maybe being a plan A only team, but they've also shown that they can go long and, expose the opponents for their defensive frailties and so on. So, yeah, man, I was delighted with them. Brighton and De Zerbi was put amongst the names for Man City and Liverpool should Pep and Klopp go. Believe me, if you want him, take him, please. Yeah, take him. It won't last long. Go for it.
I agree with you 100%. I look at the thing with Brighton. I will say this though is, they're still 9th in the league, I think, and with Brighton, I always feel they're punching above where they should be. I don't.
That's why.
No, I know.
Well,
but even last season, the last couple of seasons, I would. You look at that squad, and I'm not saying it's a rubbish squad at all. And they have obviously brought in some players, and they've sold some players for big money, like McAllister, Caicedo. But even 9th to me is like an overachievement. But I say all that to say this: they shouldn't be losing 4-0 to Luton as well. So I look at the squad and I think he's doing well with the squad he's got. James Milner was playing like right wing back for them on Tuesday. They still got Danny Welbeck up front. Like I'm not slating these players. I'm not saying that they're rubbish. They're not Prem players, because they could probably still do it. But what I'm saying is, you look at the teams around them at the moment. United are there, Chelsea, Newcastle. They've all got kind of like Isak. You've got players Rashford, and I was going to say Højlund, but you know what I mean. Like you've got players in there that are a lot better than they've got at Brighton. Chelsea as well. They spent how much? So you look at Brighton, you think they're actually doing okay for what their club is, and where they are. And they are going to
Yeah.
get humbled every now and again, like they did. But I do feel they're on a mad slope now. I'm sure their records, like the record that they've had recently is quite.
I think they've only won one of their last 5 as well. So they're not. It's drawn a lot of games. It's drawn a lot of games.
Yeah. But credit to Luton, because I mean Luton at the moment, I mean they're 17th in the league. They do have a game in hand above Forest, who are on 22 played, and Everton have also played 22. So I think they play Sheffield United in 2 weeks' time. So that'd be a big game for them. You know, obviously almost a 6-pointer at the bottom. Do you see Luton? Obviously, Everton have got their hearing, which I think is taking place for the 10-point deduction this week. I think we'll hear about the findings of that later on in the month. But if they don't win that appeal and it stays as it is, and then they do get deducted more points for the second, the second implications of breaching the rules for Everton, can you see Luton potentially staying up if they can just grab a couple more wins? You know, they do say 40 points is the marker normally in the Premier League as safety. So do you see them maybe on not deadline day, but last game of the season? Do you reckon they'll be safe by then before they get there?
I don't think they're going down, you know. I don't think they're going down at all.
I don't, you know.
I've got Forest or Brentford going down.
Brentford?
Brentford is a maybe, but I think they've started to look better because Tony's coming.
Back.
But if you look at how they've performed in the last couple of weeks, they have not been.
They're not been the same either.
Nah, you know, I know we'll get to the game they played earlier on, but you know, the comeback game for Tony, obviously they won that. Tony played a big part in that, but before that, they lost their last 3.
Yeah.
So, you know, and Forest again, a lot of signings. They started well when Nuno came in. But again, shaky.
Iffy.
Still a bit iffy there. So, you know, it's a bit of a weird one, but I think Luton will be fine. I genuinely believe that because I think they're just starting to find a way to, I think their priority is to get results rather than, you know, stick to a brand of football and then get results. I think they're just thinking, let's get results. They still play nice football. They're not bad to watch, but yeah, I think they'll do enough. They've got a decent squad. When they lose a player, they don't really panic. They know how to change. You know, so I think they'll be okay. I'm not just trying to base it off this game. I think looking at them in the last couple of weeks, I think they've won 3 after their last 5. I think
won
it is
3 and drawn 2. So it tells you, man. Proofs in the pudding. I generally think it will go down to the 4th of May. I think that's when they play Everton. And I think that's to me, if Everton are there or thereabouts still, which I think they will be. I think that will be the game where we'll kind of realize who's possibly going to go down out of those clubs. I still think Everton 100% you have to keep them in there because at the end of the day, you know, they're still down there. You know, as much as people say that they've got a squad to get out of that bottom 3, I think Everton are going to struggle. I really do. Last thing on Luton, Ross Barkley, I thought played really well again. Picked up player of the month, I think, for January as well for Luton. Seems to have found, not his level, that's a bit of a disrespect to him, but just in terms of he's found a place where he feels comfortable, I think, to rediscover himself as a footballer and kind of give us some of that Everton Barkley that we got to see when he was at Goodison Park. Yeah,
I think maybe the word we should use for him is confidence.
Yeah, 100%.
At Chelsea, I mean, I don't necessarily know what went wrong at Chelsea, but I think it affects a player where you are the quote unquote prodigal son at a club at Everton, and then you come through and you make a big move. You have to go up several levels. You go to Chelsea, and it doesn't work out the way you hoped it would, and you suddenly go on like a merry-go-round. You end up in France at some point at Nice, and didn't work out there. Sometimes you have to reset, and Luton are a Premier League club, so that means you are still a Premier League player. The Premier League is your level. It's just which bracket in the Premier League are you a part of? And it looks like he's started to show his quality again. So if he can continue, there probably is one more big move for him. When I say big, I'm talking about maybe like
Tottenham, something like that.
You read my mind exactly. Because I can actually see him. I can see him fitting into Andrew and Koglu's system. I can see it. It just fits. Yeah, so that might be a thing actually. But no, he's doing good, and I'm happy for him because if I'm gonna be very honest, I was one of those guys that wrote him off. I wasn't a big fan of him when he was younger either, if I'm being honest. But one of the third member from midfield, Darren, he used to rave about him when he was younger. I said he'll be damn good. And I kind of felt, sad to say, vindicated when he didn't make it at first. But I'm glad that he's going up a level, man. It's good for him. So I'm just happy.
He seems to be getting on with his football and all the stuff that happened. I mean, he had some troubles at Chelsea, I think, off field as well. And I think that just ruined his. I think that the London lifestyle probably didn't help. You know, he was always out all the time as well. So I think he's just found his kind of his way back into football. He probably found a passion for it again. You know, you hear about footballers losing the love of, falling out of love of the passion of the game and all that. So I think he's just found that again and rediscovered himself, which is good. But let's talk about Spurs. Let's talk about Brentford. Started the game really well against Spurs, but then managed to lose 3-2. Look, I feel like I was watching the PDC darts at one point. Neil Murphy and flipping James Maddison having a 9-dart finish. But yeah, no, it was, I mean, I haven't watched the highlights back because I just literally sat and watched the blank TV for 2 hours after the Chelsea game. But good comeback from Spurs. I think people probably ripped them off after they went 1-0 down against Brentford, but good comeback from them.
Yeah, no, they did well, man. Spurs are going to continue to be that team that until they get Sarr and Bissouma back, they are going to concede bare chances.
Oh yeah,
they're just going to have to try and score. That's just their bag. But you know what? I don't mind that. I'm a big fan of Ange, man. I'm a big fan of Ange. I'm not gonna lie. I like him, and I liked him at Celtic as well. I wasn't sure about his history beforehand, but I was. You know, when you're not like an avid watcher of SPL, but you're noticing that even though Celtic are dominant, there is a certain way they're winning games and looking and the way they're playing. It's a lot more, I don't know if dominant's the right word, but there's just a different vibe to it. And I was looking at him and I was like, this guy looks good. So when Spurs were linked with him, I thought, you know what? Yeah, you know what? It makes sense to me, actually. That's actually a good one for them. And you can see it. So yeah, he's look. I think the best thing he's done at Spurs, if I'm being honest, is just come out and basically said, without saying it, if you can't play for me, you ain't gonna play. So Dyer, bench now, gone. Højbjerg, only gonna play if I haven't got players available. You know what I mean? Like, he's brought that kind of system. But the one thing that made me happy is that if there's one player that I don't like on this earth, it's Neil Maupay. Shout out Ty from Arsenal Fan TV. He saw the vision from years ago. I don't like that guy, man. I don't like that guy. And when he did that celebration, I'm not a Spurs fan in the slightest, but part of me sat there and I was like, yeah, I hope you lose, man. I hope you lose, man, because you're taking the piss. I'm all here for banter, but you can't come to Man Stadium and think you can run that. And then you got football fans and Brentford fans saying, "Oh, because was it Madison said?" I went to him and said, "You're stealing my celebration because you don't get enough goals." And they're like, "Oh yeah, but he's got more goals than you." I'm like, "Yeah, he's a striker. Of course he does. He should have."
What do you expect?
Exactly. But then even then, you find out that Madison has more Premier League goals and assists, and also he's only actually 30 career goals behind Maupay. So who's the winner here? It's not Maupay. It can't be Maupay. Boy, get what you deserve, man. Get too cocky. What happens?
Yeah, well, this is it, man. This is it. I think it was. I agree with you with Ange Postecoglou. I think he's come in and he's kind of not rebuilt the team, but he's had to kind of come in and make some drastic amendments to it. And by that, I mean, he's had to find an 11 that he's comfortable with, that he's happy with. Like he said, Eric Dyer's gone, Højbjerg gone. Obviously, losing Harry Kane was going to be big for them, but I feel like that's worked in their favour. It's freed up how Ange wants to set up his team and maybe not have to work around Harry Kane as much as he probably would have had to had he stayed up at Tottenham. We've seen a bit more from Richarlison now. I think he's been able to kind of come out of himself a little bit, and Timo Werner coming into that team. I think we spoke about him a couple of weeks back, but him coming into that Spurs squad is going to be crucial. I think he had a really good chance last night. Very good save from the Brentford goalkeeper. But we're seeing these results. I do agree with you. When they get Son back as well, that would hopefully help them go forward in the attack as well. But Destiny, a doggy for me. Whenever I watch him, very, very good player. Very, very good player. I know he gave the ball away for Tony's goal, but he's a very, very good player. And what I like about him, he plays almost as your left back or whatever. He slots down that left wing very well, but he gets involved in the goals or the creation of the build up of play. So good. And I love that about him. And like I said, he chips in now. I think he scored yesterday again. He chips in with goals every now and again. He's got a good career ahead of him. I really do like him.
Yeah, no, I agree. He's a talent for sure. He's such a good ball carrier, and he goes forward. He's a presence. He obviously, just like anybody else, he's got to work on his defensive side. But
yeah, of course.
Yeah, but you're spot on. He's a gem. He's a gem, and they're lucky to have him. If I'm being honest, they're lucky to have him. So, yeah, man. I think they signed into a new contract as well, isn't it? So
yeah, he's recently signed a new one. So it tells you that obviously he's doing something well. He's impressing the manager. Before we move on, Brentford, obviously deadline day today. Can you see Ivan Toney moving to any club in the next 24 hours? Well, not even 24 hours. What is it now? Next 10 hours, I think it is, or something like that.
Nah, you just stay there, man. Stay there. Just keep building yourself up, and then maybe in the summer. But if I'm being honest with you, bro, it might work best in his favor if he just remains a Brentford player in the future. That's just my humble opinion.
Yeah, man. I agree with that. I agree with that, man. Let's move over. Let's go take ourselves to Ireland really quickly. First of all, before we start this year, anyone that doesn't know, Marcus Rashford, was he over there for like work promotion something, or is he just over there?
He went for a link up, man.
Oh, okay. No, because I read a couple of things. Like, first of all, I read that he was over there doing like work. He was invited to go and see a football team that I can't remember what the link is with Rashford and someone that plays in a team in Belfast. He was over there for something like that. There was a reason why he was over there. I don't think he just flew. He didn't just go onto Ryanair and then go, I'm just going to book one to Belfast. Let me just see what there is. I don't think he did that, but I think there was, I think he went over as almost like a guest of honor for a match in Belfast. Then there's these videos of him. Remember, we live in 2024, camera phones everywhere. Yeah. People catching him going out the clubs. Then I'm seeing in the paper that this girl is saying she was with him and all this stuff and everything else. Eric Ten Hag, I think, was asked about this. I don't know if it was in a press conference yesterday or the day before, but one of the days he kind of asked, how come you dealt with Jadon Sancho a particular way, and then you've dealt with the Rashford situation in an internal way, and you've dealt with internally and whatever else, you find him half his week's wage or whatever. What's your take on the whole thing, first of all, the Rashford thing, going over there, kind of letting down the team to an extent? He's got to have a personal life, but there's probably a time and a place to do that. And how do you feel that Eric Ten Hag's dealt with the situation as well?
It's crazy. I haven't actually spoken about this, So I haven't really had my thoughts.
That's an exclusive.
Okay. I personally don't mind him going out and enjoying himself. I don't mind. Now, obviously, just like you, just like me, bro, if we know we've got work the next day, ideally we don't get waves to the point where we're struggling to wake up and make it on time, to the point where we're calling sick. Now, the difference between us and him is his job is a lot more high profile. So when you call in sick, someone's going to leak that. That's the unfortunate truth of your business. You know what I mean? So, and then you hear stuff that he actually said, I'm available for Newport. I'm available if you want to take me. Manager said no. Go back to Carrington, train, do whatever. All right, fine. I don't have an issue with him going out. If he went to go and watch his boy play football and then enjoy himself with his boys after, I have no issue with that. I generally don't care. I just think that you just gotta be smarter when it comes to reporting for work the next day. That's the be all and end all with that, really. So I don't have an issue there. Regarding Ten Hag, I feel like he's learned his lesson after Sancho. He went out and said, what did he say? He said,
Jadon Sancho spoke out or something.
Jadon spoke publicly. This was dealt with internally. And my thing is, a lot of people are like, oh, you're too soft, because why can't a manager go out and say that players weren't training well. Like I don't necessarily think that's wrong, but I'm also part of the class that kind of says, knowing, especially the kind of the club that you manage and how the media are vultures, I am not going to go and say anything that makes you go and grab a headline and then go from there. Because the moment you said he wasn't doing well in training and matching my standards, people immediately were like, what the hell is Sancho doing in training? You're suddenly seeing clips leaked of him doing press-ups, maybe to not a good standard, and so on and so forth. And obviously this guy disagreed and said, well, no. And we may disagree with that action, but the fact is, if you feel like you've done nothing wrong, you're going to speak your mind sometimes. This is what it is. So Rashford obviously has done this. Rashford is different. Rashford thinks he's done wrong. He believes he's done wrong. So he went and said sorry to him and the squad. They moved on. That's the only difference. But I'm still not very sure about Ten Hag's man management. I think he's got his big favourites and not so favourites. Very much less profile. But Pelestri has left. He's going on loan to Granada.
Yeah.
In Spain, and his agent went off on one saying that he doesn't treat the player as a professional. That for me is a big worry. And I say that because he might not be a high profile name in the squad. That's fine, but he's still a squad player. He's been part of your squads, traveled into teams on the bench. So what's happened there that the relationship's deteriorated to the point where he's saying, well, I don't want to be here. I just find it off, man. But look, Rashford's thing, I think fans have just taken that a bit too deep. They're very lucky that social media wasn't around the days where these guys were doing a madness. They were doing a madness. My God, bruv. Oh, yeah, but these guys were winning games, winning titles. That don't make it better. Don't make it better.
They were doing a lot worse as well. A lot worse.
A lot worse. Yeah, so what are you talking about? But yeah, man, he'll move on. Fans will move on, man. He'll probably get a little bit of a booing at Old Trafford. Rash is coming on, boo, all that rubbish. But he'll be fine. He'll be fine.
I think, like you said, I think when Rashford scores a hat trick or 2 goals, a winner for the game, whichever game it is, fans will forget that it'd be old news. But I think you're right though about Ten Hag. I think the way that he's dealt with Jadon Sancho, I think I said at the time, I kind of see why Jadon Sancho came out a little bit. I might have flip-flopped a little bit, but I think I said I agree with why Jadon Sancho came out and said what he said after that defeat. I think it was to Arsenal or something like that. And then obviously Ten Hag kind of responded, and it just got difficult for the to manage that. But I do think as well, Rashford could just go out and then just know that you're, like you said, a high profile. You're one of the top profiled players at Manchester United. So just go out. You don't have to drink. Just go out, show your face, be back in your hotel or whatever by 10, 11, get your flight back home, whatever. And then it ain't even a story that we're talking about. Do you know what I mean? You could just, you'd be on the coach to Newport. So yeah, I do think Ten Hag dealt with it better. But at the same time as well, I do feel that Rashford has got a responsibility as a person, not even as a player, just as a person. People look up to him, whatever. Then, you know what I mean? Just conduct yourself properly, man, and just do it that way, in my opinion. But I think you're right. If he scores a goal the weekend or when he's back in the team, people are going to forget that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's football, man. That's football, man.
Do you see him? Do you see him starting against Wolves tonight? Is he?
No.
Is he in contention to start tonight?
Hell no, that guy's sitting on the bench. He knows it. That's fine by me. Let him sit there. That's fine. He hasn't been good anyway. Let's be real. He hasn't been good this season anyway, so you can hold that, man. But was it Ten Hag even defend? This is the thing about Ten Hag. See, this is what I'm talking about. I just realised he goes here, but before this, 2 goals, 2 assists in the last couple of games. So I'm like, brother, what? Anyway, yeah, man.
This is a game where actually, so if anyone doesn't know, Wolves, Molineux tonight, they're playing Manchester United 8:15. This is a game that we actually need you to win. In fact, no, we don't. We do and we don't. We could do with a draw in this game, Chelsea fans, because it's sandwiched in between Wolves and United at the moment. Wolves are currently 11th on 29 points. Manchester United are on 32 points, sitting 9th place now. this is going to be a difficult game for Manchester United just because I feel that Wolves are a team that you can't really predict how they're gonna play and how they're gonna turn up. Obviously, you could probably name their starting 11, but I mean, just what level of performance they're gonna give you on the night. Going into this game, I mean, I'm assuming Onana won't be in goal.
He might be, and I'm not happy about that. But
What would your lineup be for tonight if you was Ten Hag right now? Thinking, who would you go with?
I'd keep Altay in goal. I'd go Shaw, Martinez, Varane, and Wan-Bissaka if he's fit, because there's a bit of a question mark on him. But if not, I guess it'll be Dallo. Casemiro, Kobe, and Bruno. God. And then, Højlund of course, Garnacho on the...
Sure, you put him on the left with Anthony on the right, probably.
I'd rather play Ahmad on the right, but I think we all know it's going to be Anthony, so I'll just have to firm that and hold that L. But this is why I'm going to know that Rashford probably won't start, because Garnacho on the right and Rashford on the left was actually working, because Rashford was starting to get a connection with Højlund. They was actually starting to build a little something there, so that's a little setback. But man, it's going to have to be Anthony, man. So yeah, I'd rather not go further speaking about that guy. Let's just move on.
I agree with that lineup. I think that'd be the lineup I'd have to go with. The only thing that worries me, I think, for Wolves is Cunha, who I think is a really good player. You said it before you came online and recorded. Lemina as well. Obviously Neto up front. I love Semedo as he he's good down that right as a right wing back for them. But like I said, Wolves are a hit and miss. They're such a hit and miss team at the moment, and you just can't predict. The only thing I suppose I'll give them is they've won 3 in their last 5, drawn 1 and lost 1. So they come into this with a bit more form than United in terms of their last 5 games. I mean, how confident? I know the answer to this already, but how confident are you with tonight's result in terms of a prediction?
I'm going for a draw.
I hope so.
I think it's gonna be a 2-2 draw, personally. Because Wolves are not good defensively either, so I think we can guide them a score. But it's funny because I actually do trust Varane and Martinez. They're not my issue. It's here. That's my problem.
Yeah.
That's what my issue is. I think players like Neto will cause havoc on the side. Neto's a problem. He's a problem.
Of course.
Yeah, so that's where my lack of confidence is. I don't have a lack of confidence in my 2 centre backs. I think those 2 are great, and I will scream that from the rooftops. They've been there, and we've had shocking results. Those 2, so with those 2 in defence, so no. But if Onana starts, I don't trust him, man. I don't trust him. Bro. Bro, who was it that had a shot for Liverpool in the game yesterday? It might have been Nunez, where Petrovic pushed it onto the post.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there. Yeah, I was sitting there and I was like, if that was someone else,
that's going in.
Yeah, that's going in. That's going in. As well as another shot. I forgot who it was. It might have been McAllister, where he tipped it and it hit the bar. That was Nunez as well.
It was Nunez.
Yeah, when he tips it and it hit the bar as well. I was just there. I was like, There's one person I know wouldn't even get no close to that, but hey, it's not the time. It's just not the time. It's the Liverpool Chelsea time. So let me not mention any Man United names, but I don't have confidence in him. So,
I mean, you spoke about Onana before we wrap up. It's probably just good to talk about the African Cup of Nations. I don't think we've spoken since the last time. I mean, a lot's happened, I think, since our last recording, because we didn't obviously touch on it last week because of the Liverpool news.
Yeah.
So obviously, Ghana, you're gonna have to give me a little rundown. What happened with Ghana, man?
Can't hear you, bro. So I couldn't hear you for a
Oh,
second.
you couldn't hear me?
You're back now.
You hear me now, yeah?
You're back now.
I was saying, it's probably good you didn't hear me because I was talking about Ghana. I was saying, last time we spoke was about Ghana. Yeah. I generally was talking about Ghana. I literally said, we haven't recorded obviously since the last episode. We did Liverpool, the last episode. The episode before that, Ghana, Chris Hughton was still there. Things have changed, man. But in all seriousness, no, I think there's been a lot of, not shocks, but there's been a lot of big games where you kind of think, oh, I can't. But like even like Senegal the other night, like, you know, that was for me. I know it was on penalties, but it was a big shock.
That was, yeah. Considering how Ivory Coast haven't got out of the group in the first place.
Exactly.
That's a shock. That's a shock. Morocco, it's a big shock as well. Funny, before those games, I went on a Nigerian sports show on Zoom anyway.
Yeah.
And they were asking me my favourites, and I said Senegal and Morocco. Yeah, don't listen to anything I said. That's the damn word. But yeah, even Egypt as well. They went on penalties as well, isn't it? So, boy, Cape Verde are still doing their thing. That's not a shot that they beat Mauritius. You can see that kind of result, but they're still pushing forward. It's been interesting. So, look, I think you said it before we started that Nigeria are favourites, but bro, Angola have been shown that they're not to be played with. So it's a techie one. It's a techie one. I'm enjoying it. I mean, I'm loving it. I'm loving it personally. I think it's great to watch anyway.
I mean, that's the game. I think tomorrow, isn't it? Like Nigeria, Angola. Then you got DR Congo tomorrow as well. Then Mali, Ivory Coast. South Africa play on Saturday as well. Cape Verde. So there's some tough games coming up there, man. And looking forward to. I will be catching them. I've been missing quite a lot of the games, but I will be watching them ones as well. Trying to catch up. But yeah, my money's on Nigeria. But like you said, Angola can't really fault them, or you can't really rule them out as well. But yeah, I think it'll be good. So I'm trying to think, when's the final then? So the final must be. See when the final. You've got the semis. Oh, there's finals next Sunday. This next Sunday.
Next Sunday. Okay.
Next Sunday, the 11th. Yeah, you got the third place playoff on the Saturday, and then you've got the semi-finals next Wednesday. So yeah, one more week, and we'll know who is the ultimate winner of the African Cup of Nations. Looking forward to that, man. But before we wrap up, as always, thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for, if you haven't already, leaving your comments. Make sure if you haven't, you leave some comments from what we've discussed as well. And make sure you subscribe, like the video. Make sure you go to the audio version, do the same there as well. Make sure you listen to the audio version of the podcast. Kojo, as always, thank you very much. Free midfield as well. We need to go run up the numbers there. So if you haven't already, head over to Free Midfield and check out the visual podcast over there as well. Also, audio as well, isn't it? I think we got audio as well. Yeah.
Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all your friends there. Yeah. All those.
Man. Yeah, man. Until next time, we'll be back, man. Next week, same place, all of that stuff, man. Love for tuning in. We'll be back soon.
Peace.